All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Bowker, very excited to be chatting to an individual competing at BKFC KnuckleMania 4, and that goes down on April 27th. We have Ruben Warr knuckling up and towing the line against Andrew Angelcor, and great getting to have Andrew on the show. How are you doing, man? You having a solid day so far?
I'm doing great, man. I got my last hard session in today, my last sparring rounds and stuff. So it's just tapering off into fight week now.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously a big card here with KnuckleMania 4. Like, when did you, I guess, get word that this bout opportunity would be coming your way, and what was the general sentiment? I imagine you'd be excited.
Oh yeah, very excited. I mean, it was when they announced that they would be coming to California. I knew immediately. Well, it should have been a no-brainer. I would be on the card, and my manager told me, we'll get you on the card, and a few different names bounced around. And so I signed a contract with a different name, and then a few weeks ago they changed it up again and said it was War, and it doesn't matter who's on the other side. I'm just excited to fight in front of my people for the first time, to be the hometown guy, the A-side guy. It's my fifth fight, and I've always flown into other people's backyards, and so now I get to fight in my backyard. So I'm excited.
Are we expecting Barstow to stand up in this one, is what you're saying?
Oh man, I expect Barstow to blow the roof off this place. There was just a post today. They announced, they talked about the card, how excited they were, and I commented, welcome to my card. You see the posters got Mike Perry and Alves and Juggernaut and all these huge names that draw, and I respect that. But they're all coming to my card. I'm the king of California, and I made that known, and I'm gonna back that up next week. Like on the 27th, you'll see why I'm so confident. I'm not just blowing smoke out of my ass.
No, and I think some people kind of miss that sometimes. I mean, like you're a guy that I imagine is driving a certain amount of like the local interest and the ticket sales and stuff. So I'm sure there's going to be that raucous kind of crowd behind you. Is that something that really you think is going to galvanize you a fair bit? Because like you said, you've usually been the away player, quote unquote.
Yeah, I mean, I've always fought to acquire a booze, right? My last fight, I fought a guy from Denver in Denver, and then I knocked him out and got booed all the way out. And so it'll be different to actually hear the people going crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if you hear a Barstow chant in Los Angeles. But I mean, I'm ready for it. I'm excited. It's been a long time coming, so.
And I guess I'm curious about the general prep, and maybe this applies to a bunch of your different fights, but you were talking about how you had an initial opponent put out there, but now Ruben Warr is the person you're going to be fighting. Like, how much do you, I guess, delve into the tape study and tailor your approach to certain opponents, or is it just being adaptable and focusing on your own efforts and whatnot?
Yeah, well, I definitely always have my own specific game plan that I want to focus on, like simple, basic fundamentals that I want to inquire. Of course, I will adjust if I'm fighting a shorter guy, a taller guy. Those adjustments have to be made. But honestly, I've never had an opportunity where I fought somebody that I had a lot of film study that I could really, my last fight, when I fought Hudson, he was a fill-in 10-day notice type fill-in because my opponent on that fight bailed out. And then before that, I stepped in on 10 days notice to fight somebody. And then, and then my first fight, I had never even fought bare knuckles. So it doesn't really matter. Obviously, at least this guy had, War had a bare knuckle fight recently, so I could at least watch the whole minute and a half that lasted. So it gave me something to look at. But other than that, he's an MMA fighter. And for me, when I watch, fight guys with an MMA background, I see their fights and they end up going to the ground, and then it's irrelevant to study because they're just wrestling anyway. So and I think like every time it's been that way, And then my first guy, he's a boxer. I got to study a little bit for that, but I signed that contract like with 4 weeks to study. Like it's not like I've ever had a full camp of film study, And then again, within the last 2 weeks, they always seem to change the opponent anyway. So I'm confident that just with my skill set, period, I can, And when I train with guys that are taller, faster, stronger. Like I've done this for so long that there's nothing that somebody can put in front of me that I haven't seen.
Yeah, and I think some people can kind of lose sight of that sometimes because I mean you're facing certain times people who are like, I guess, debuting as much as you're also early in your BKFC career. But even with this opponent, like you're saying, it was a pretty brief fight. And I think I saw another interview where you were saying, I don't even know if he got hit in that fight. So
Right,
I imagine there's only
right,
so much you can glean from the different footage,
right.
right?
Yeah, and then and I did say that that you know he for him, that sucks for him because he has this confidence because he got rid of the guy in the first round. But unfortunately for him, he hasn't really been tested. He hasn't taken that bare knuckle punch yet, and proven that he can take it and keep going. In my first fight, I got dropped in the first 5 seconds and got back up and ended up going to 5 round war where I got dropped again, and and that was a battle. And so I've proven, that that I can take the punishment. I can go all 5 rounds. I've done that twice. I've proven I can, get rid of people. He claims that I only fight going backwards. So that's fucking ridiculous. Like, well, look at my footage, bro. Like, I pressed the issue in my last 2 fights and got rid of the guys. So, yeah, I don't. I think his lack of experience in the bare knuckle side is going to be my advantage, and then my experience is going to show. And that's why I'm fully confident I'll take care of business next week.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of that comes from, I guess, just even the composure of being in BKFC. I guess just going off of an interview where you were discussing that, because, like you said, you've already been in those certain moments where you faced the adversity and overcame it, which isn't to say that War can't overcome adversity per se, but just we haven't seen it in the bare knuckle context. And you've done that and kind of maintained the composure throughout. So do you think that's going to be the biggest difference, like even beyond the physical techniques, or maybe a bit of both?
Uh yeah, I mean, a bit of both for sure. Don't get me wrong, I'm not at all taking them lightly. It's a bare knuckle fight. Like there is no such thing, as like uh well, I guess I shouldn't say that everyone deserves to be in there, but it's a bare knuckle fight, man. He can catch me with one punch. I'm not dumb, so I'm not saying that his lack of experience means he can't take a hit or that he, isn't built for it. I just know my preparation. I know how long I've been, preparing for this beyond just this fight. And the way I see it is this, man. He debuted, he did good for him. He stepped up to a level that I just feel he's not ready for. I know where I'm destined to be. I'm going to hold that belt at 155, and he's in my way. And so it's almost offensive that he thinks he can just debut and then turn around a month later and fight me. Come on, man. I've been in the organization for 2 years now. This is my fifth fight. I've taken ass whippings. I've earned my right, and I'm not going to let this guy just come from tryouts to debut to beating me. You're out of your mind.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I was talking to him earlier and he seemed almost like emboldened by that in a certain sense, like just wanting to dive into like the deepest part of the proverbial pool that he can and stuff like that. So it's just an interesting dynamic heading in a certain sense because I get what you mean. I get why you'd feel a certain way about it. I think he also had like maybe a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Like, I guess not so much from you per se, but even just some of the fan characterization online kind of echoing that too. Like, hey, you're kind of getting in heavy with a guy who hasn't been, beaten yet in BKFC. Like you have the fifth fight you're entering now, etc.
Right. And I believe that, I've seen how he's conducting himself on Instagram posts and, he draws into the back and forth, typing and shit talking. And, that just goes to show, man, I feel like he's mentally weak. And I feel that because he has that chip on his shoulder and he feels that he has to like prove this point, to the world or to himself, whatever it is. Look, on one end, I applaud him for even being willing to step up because, like I said, this is the second or third time I've had people drop out. So kudos to him for even being willing to step up. I do respect that. I just know that, the sorry that it was me you had to step up against, so quickly because I'm not letting you get through me. I have a mission and I have a vision, man. I know where I'm going. And so he's in my way. And it didn't matter if it was the other guy, if it's him, it didn't matter who it was. Whoever was in front of me, April 27th, is going to get destroyed. And it just happens to be him.
And it does seem kind of like an interesting time in the lightweight division. Like it seems like not like wide open per se, but I mean, I guess so maybe with like the, I guess, lack of clarity with like the actual title picture. And I saw you kind of were, I guess, calling for a Bobby Taylor fight later last year. So just some interesting moving parts, like not overlooking this fight, obviously, but just illustrating that point, like you're saying, of where you want to go in the lightweight division.
Yeah, I did call for the Bobby fight in the ring of my last fight, so it's not like, I mean, I immediately wanted that. We went on podcast together. We agreed. For whatever reason, they kept it like mostly California guys, and Bobby's fighting next month. I think like in Nebraska and Omaha. So if I take care of business and he takes care of business, maybe we'll meet on the next one. And then as far as the title, rumor has it that Soto and Henry will be fighting for that. And if that's the case, cool. Then let me and Bobby fight next. And then the winner out of us should fight whoever wins the belt between Soto and Henry. Their first defense should be against the winner of me and Bobby, because we make up like the top five. Palomino already said he's not fighting 55 anymore. He wants to stay at 65. So then, okay, you have us four left. Let us all get down, and then the winners fight each other. I mean, nothing else makes sense.
No, I hear you. Definitely an interesting time in the division with all those factors. And we were talking about the California dynamics and stuff like that through, I guess, the individual lens of how exciting it is to get to fight in front of the crowd. But kind of a cool thing to show the growth of the sport as well, just like bare knuckle kind of coming to the state there and everything like that. That must be kind of a cool thing to see, just like the broader growth. And I mean, such a big event. I mean, they're a big like annual tentpole event going there.
Yeah, man. It was surprising. I definitely didn't, I didn't see California opening up, man. They're pretty tight on a lot of policies, So the fact that they opened up, but I thought we'd see a Vegas show before a California show. Which, by the way, I'm 2 hours from Vegas. I'm 2 hours from Los Angeles. Barstow was in the middle of Los Angeles and Las Vegas. So if BKFC goes to Vegas next, I'll tell that one out too. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's an inevitability getting a card out there in Las Vegas. It's got to happen for BKFC, right?
Oh yeah, and again, I'm where I'm at in Barstow is 2 hours between each one. I'm right in the middle of it, so I'm gonna shut down Los Angeles, and then when they go to Vegas, I'll shut that down too.
Yeah, and I feel like where you're at kind of benefits you in certain regards. Like I was seeing a prior interview where they were asking about like when you were fighting at the BKFC 50 card about the higher elevation, and you're like, I got some high elevation out where I'm at, so like no worries in that kind of regard.
Yeah, I'm in what's called the high desert I'm in the Mojave Desert, Southern California. It's called the high desert for a reason. I think it's something like 2,500 or something. I don't know, 2,700 maybe. But it's the high desert, and so I fought in Denver twice, and neither time did I feel the the breathing was not a problem.
Yeah, and you have such a cool story too. Like I was seeing a post-fight interview you had after your last fight talking about just some of the things you've gone through, like being locked up and in
Oh yeah.
rehab. It seems like combat sports and probably just like, the family, from what I could tell too, gave you that strong sense of direction. Like how much has, I guess, combat sports kind of also served that master? I mean, I'm sure like I'm saying your family drove a lot of that motivation to make some wholesale changes as well. But like how much has combat sports given you, I guess, that certain, I guess, discipline and direction, I suppose?
Yeah, man. I mean, well, I started boxing at 16. So at that age, I was learning consistency and discipline and the work ethic and et cetera. So it became, a skill set that I carried into life. Unfortunately, I did get, distracted for a few years, which I've been completely transparent about and then talked about that, in 2013, instead of going pro like I planned, I went to jail because I was, living like a jackass. But I did go through what I went through. But I believe because I got my ass whooped so bad by life, it has, made me the fighter I am today. So over all the years, I acquired the skill set of discipline, work ethic, and heart, and all those things that boxing and fighting taught me. Then I went through the real fight of life, and then now here I am as a professional and a bare knuckle fighter of all fights. And now I can carry all the years of experience in boxing and all of what I acquired as far as the skill set, and then my life lessons. Put that together, I just feel like I'm unstoppable now. And then I'm married with kids now, and so I just have every piece of the puzzle I need to keep moving in the direction that I am moving. And again, this is why it doesn't matter who they put in front of me. My mission is is clear, and my drive is unmatched. My work ethic. I mean, if anybody follows me on social media, you see my lifestyle. This is all day, every day, and I've never been more prepared for a fight. And I'll say that on the next one too, because I'm only going to get better. So yeah, man, my life, what I've been through, the trials and tribulations have made me, you know, unbeatable. Like there's nothing that this guy can bring me next week that, I haven't already endured. Life is what my ass worse than any bare knuckle fight.
No, it's great to see that you've been able to learn from that. And I'm sure inspiration for some other people who might even be in a similar situation. But you talk about all the different looks you've been able to get, like different body types and styles. Like, are you still predominantly out of Victory Fitness? Because it seems like that's where you
Yeah.
get most of your work.
Yeah, man, that's I'm the co-owner of that gym. The coaches and I, we all co-own that gym, and so that's where I do like my base training with my coach and my pad work, hit the bag, workout. But when it comes to sparring, we don't even have a ring in our gym. Our gym is a group, like a functional fitness gym. So I have to travel for this camp. I've actually been out in Vegas once or twice a week, every week for about 6 straight weeks now. Getting work with Coach Chris and my boy Shane Mosley Jr. in their camp. So I've been getting top level work out there. My other boy Andrew out here in Victorville, which is like 30 miles the other way. I get work with him and Coach Craig out there. So I have really good high level work. I just have to commute wherever I go, which I'm willing to do. But here locally, I don't have there. I'm the only pro fighter in Barstow actually. But I get all my skill work with my coach here in town. I get all my strength and conditioning here. I do all my running here. I do all my weight training and bag work here. And then I just travel when I spar.
No, it's cool you're able to kind of get like both of those different approaches and stuff like that and whatnot. Because I'm sure you can get in some good like cardio based kind of work at like Victory, and then like you said, getting in work with some pros out in Vegas. Which I mean, the fight capital of the world. People call it that for a reason, right? So probably a lot of great looks out there.
Oh man, yeah, and so this camp I've been predominantly at at with my boy Shane, but I've been man 5 or 6 gyms that are like legendary. I've sparred with Muhammad Ali's grandson Nico Ali Walsh. I've been in there with Freddie Rojas and these guys that are at like on Showbox and DAZN. Like I've been in there with guys who are legends, or so I do have that fortunate advantage that I'm 2 hours away, but so which is pretty wild. Most people won't drive 2 hours each way just to get work, and then I go 2 hours the other way with Coach AJ and all them down in Long Beach and everybody down on Hill Street squad. And so I got all kinds of options and just unlimited work if I so choose to get out there, which I do. And that's why again I'm so confident, because I know what work I put in and the level of competition that have pushed me to get ready. Oh man, like I just feel like there's no way that the guy in front of me is prepared with the level of work that I'm getting. It's unmatched.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just, yeah, no, I mean, I love that. And it just seems like you're, such a natural with the sport, like just seeing some different articles where you talk about how you just like love how it's not fake. You know what I mean? Like it kind of just really reveals who you are in a certain sense, the sport. Have you found that you just kind of had that innate adaptability to it? And I guess in kind of saying that, like, how have you, I guess, grown from your first fight to now? Like, how has the general methodology changed, if at all?
Well, yeah, I've only ever boxed glove boxing. I had like 25 amateur fights. And so it was a shock, in my first fight. I didn't like plan to go bare knuckle. I wasn't preparing myself, hence why I broke 4 fingers in my first fight. But as I've said, you can't fake it. There is no hiding behind the Philly shell. There is no pretty boy style that's gonna, get you through it. And I love that. And it's not like I knew going into it, this will better suit me. Obviously, after that first fight, I was like, okay, maybe this, I like this more. And then now that I look back, of course, hindsight's always 2020. I'm like, well, stylistically, I am more of an aggressive brawler. Even in my boxing matches, like I've never been like a pretty boxer. I've always been willing to, plant my feet, bang. And so to me, well, this is what that's built for. And I've always had a hell of a chin. And so it's like, well, all right, you got to have one of those to get through, bare knuckle. And then I don't know, I my mental fortitude is so strong that it's going to carry me, and it already has carried me through some dog fights. I've been in the deep waters, and I've proven that I thrive in the deep water. And not everybody can do that. And so that, and you see it when you watch the fight. Some of these guys get touched once and they fold, and they're not built for it. And so I'm not that guy. I'm truly built for this, and I feel that because of my style and my physical and mental strength, I'm gonna go as far as I want to go in this.
Yeah, and it seems like boxing kind of runs through in the family a little bit. Like I saw at that Miss Barstow pageant, your daughter kind of rocked the boxing performance there and seemed like she did really well. That must have been cool for you to see. Probably a proud dad moment and all, right?
Oh man, that was huge. So, my oldest daughter, my 10-year-old, and then my son, they're both in my boxing class. I'm the boxing coach of the kids class here in town. And I've, had my 10-year-old in it since she was like 5. So she's been doing it for 5 years. She's a cheerleader and a dancer and now a pageant girl. So she doesn't even like boxing, but she's good at it because I made her do it for, just for to be, to work and just to have the skill set. And so when her mom told me, hey, Bella wants to do a pageant, I'm like, all right, like I'm gonna back her up, whatever she wants to do. And then for her, I knew they have a talent, and I'm the one who said, hey, let's do boxing for your talent, and I'll get up there and hold it. And so we did it. She won the talent portion and the overall, and so that was awesome because I mean, what do I know about pageants? So for me to be able to incorporate the boxing, I get to be a part of it, and I love that. And obviously blew the people blew their freaking socks off because they're like, what the heck? She's the beauty and the beast. So that is going to separate her in that world. So if she continues down that path and she uses that boxing asset, oh man, she's going to crush that because she's already beautiful and she can fight. Two birds in one stone, like she's a dominant force.
Yeah, it just seemed like a proud dad moment. So it felt like I had to, kind of get the insights on that. But I guess just one of the last things I wanted to ask while I have you, like, I mean, we've been kind of talking about the fight and just some of the variables, like how I guess War's last fight didn't really show as much of him kind of like facing that resistance in a certain sense. I guess in kind of saying all of that, like, do you have a certain visualization for how you see this fight playing out, or are you more being adaptable and flowing with how the fight may go and where it may go, I suppose?
Well, I definitely have a game plan. Like I'm going in with a game plan. I'm not going to just go in there and see what happens. But based on just what he said, he's going to apply pressure, which he claims I won't be able to take, or his punches. But what I am expecting is him to, come out with the pressure that he says, and because of the chip he has on his shoulder and you know, his determination to prove the world wrong, I believe he's gonna, come forward explosively. We know he likes to throw that looping overhand right. And look at my last fight. Hudson came right at me as well, and he walked right into my jab and right into that right hand, and I split him up quick. And so I can see the same thing happening. I can see this guy. I can see War coming right at me and just bop bop coming right into. I'll let him do all the work, and I'll piece them apart. I'll create the space I need, and then I think he's gonna get tired quick because there's not a chance he's in better shape than me. And then once he gets tired, he'll start getting desperate. I'll see everything he's got coming, and I'm gonna just pick him apart. If he makes it to the second round, he won't get past that. I promise.
Well, it's an exciting fight, and I mean, you always bring it. And yeah, I mean, War had an exciting first fight. So when I saw this matchup get made, definitely excited me. But also, in saying all of that, I want to be mindful of your time, Andrew. It's been great getting to chat with you again. But I'm curious if there's maybe a final thought you wanted to add as we're wrapping up, man.
Now, man, final thought is always Barstow stand up. Thank you to all my sponsors. Shout out to Guerrilla Warfare, and Slaughterhouse Management. And thank you to my wife for always holding me down while I'm in camp. Shout out to my mom. She actually helped me big time this camp too. All of Barstow, everybody who bought tickets, everybody who backs me up, everybody like you who puts a microphone in front of me and gives me a platform to share my story. I appreciate you all, and I will absolutely continue to impress you and put on a show April 27th. Tune in.
Yeah, well, you have a great track record so far, so no reason to doubt you. And yeah, this is going to be a great card with KnuckleMania 4, man. Definitely excited to see that on April 27th. And yeah, to reiterate, thanks for coming on and chatting again, man. Looking forward to seeing this fight when it goes down. But until then, you have a good rest of your day, Andrew.
You as well, brother. Thank you.